Let's get more ahead of that match and speak to senior reporter Tim Thornton. Hi, Tim.
Yeah, morning, Tom. England against the USA today, of course, and we've got a very, very special guest alongside us. The MLS Commissioner, Don Garber, is with us this morning in Doha. Good to have you here,
Oh, what a
Don.
setting. Thanks for having me.
Huge game, of course, tonight. And I guess you'll be feeling quite proud at the moment because this World Cup, 36 different players from the MLS representing 12 different countries. It's amazing, isn't it, the growth of the game and the MLS?
You know, it's whenever we speak to folks in England, I think they're always intrigued by the development of the game in our country. The league continues to grow. Our national teams on the men's and women's side continue to get better and better. We have guys like Howard Webb coming off of your field, coming to our league, going back to the Premier League. So there's such great momentum, and we're very proud of it in so many different ways. What
would it mean for the USA to beat England tonight?
Well, it would mean a lot. You know, we have this this movie that was produced on the 1950 win back many years ago called The Game of Their Lives. And, you know, we are working so hard to be part of the global conversation with the broad, beautiful game. And tonight's match is an important one. We hope to get a result, and we'd like our national team to continue to tell the story about how far the sport has come in the United States. You know, we had tens of millions of people watching that match, and imagine what that's going to look like on what we call Black Friday, a day off for everybody in America. I think they'll have a huge audience. Hopefully we get a result.
You say hopefully, but is there a confidence? I've been around the US squad in the last few days, and I sense there is a real belief that they can, first of all, beat England and then go far in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not connected to what Greg Berhalter is doing. So many of the players have come through Major League Soccer, many of them playing in the Premier League. And I do believe they're confident. It's a very young team. It's the second youngest team in the World Cup. That's going to bode well, not just for what happens here in Qatar, but think about what that's going to look like in 2026 when the World Cup is on our shores. These are players that I think are surprising the world. How Christian Pulisic is playing in Chelsea, and certainly guys like Tyler and Brendan Anderson playing for Leeds, and McKennie playing at Juventus. I mean, our players are no different than other players developed in a system with our professional league, and then coming and developing not only who they are on the field, but also off the field. I think that's a great story for what the American athlete, the American professional soccer player is all about.
You touched on it there, the next World Cup. Can we expect something special in 4 years' time?
I think so. I mean, the most successful World Cup from an attendance perspective ever was in 1994. And, most people don't think of the United States, particularly when they're watching in England, as a real football nation. We call it a soccer nation, but it is. There are millions and millions of people that play. There are not just the 29, soon to be 30 MLS teams, but there's a very strong women's league. There are lower leagues that are playing in our country. There, as you know, international clubs setting up offices. There's more football on American television, or American media, than any other sport, more than the National Football League, more than baseball, more than the NBA. That's because people love the game, and in many ways they're from the game. So we'll have 4 years to have a North Star, the rocket fuel, if you will, to develop our game in ways that will make our sport even bigger and better in 27 and beyond. So to us, it's not about the 3 or 4 weeks in the summer of 26. It's about the decades after the World Cup, the U.S., Mexico, and Canada.
And a team in Miami now, David Beckham, Phil Neville, of course, very familiar names to us. It's growing all the time.
It is. I have spent so many times talking to the UK press about David, and when he was playing in the league, what's he going to do? The 10 years of getting that Inter Miami club do and put it together. They now have a new stadium that has been approved. It'll be one of the largest stadium projects in our country. It'll be in downtown Miami. David's been a great owner. For those people who know him, you know him as a footballer and as a celebrity. David is a very focused guy. He's a great businessman. He loves our league. He loves to be part of developing the game. He and Phil obviously are very close. Their team had better success. They've been in our playoffs their first 2 years. And I think the best is yet to come in Miami.
Just a few hours away from Gareth Bale taking centre stage again from Wales. What about his impact in the MLS? Obviously, we saw his big impact right at the end of the season, but what's he brought to the league?
Yeah, you know, I couldn't have been more excited to see that goal. You know, Gareth came in and you sort of knew something special was going to happen. The MLS Cup, the winner in LAFC, was probably one of the best games we've ever had. And you say, he's our guy. But unfortunately, he was not our guy on Monday night. I mean, it was like the thrill of victory and then the agony of defeat. And thinking of what he was able to do, and you kind of knew it. You knew something was going to happen. Good to get a point. You know, he's been a good MLS player. I think he loves our league. I sat with him when he was injured in a game in Los Angeles. He cares about the development of the sport in the United States. I wish them well in the continued cup, but hopefully not at the U.S.'s expense.
Cristiano Ronaldo played last night. We've already seen Messi in this World Cup. What are the chances of seeing those two players in the MLS as designated players in the future?
You know, I've been hearing all the rumors that everybody else has been hearing. None about Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, it's very new. I'm sure those rumors will pop up over time. And I can't comment on whether a club might be interested in him or not. There has been interest in Messi. You know, we're big believers in the formality of the rules, right? So he's under contract, and Lionel will decide what it is that he's going to do. He'd be great in our league, and I think that having somebody of his stature giving us a global platform to be able to talk about Major League Soccer, not just in the ecosystem of our country, but shot around the world. We have a new global relationship with Apple where everybody next year will be able to watch a game on their device, whether they're in Buenos Aires, whether they're in France, or whether they're in Spain or in the United Kingdom, or in a city maybe in the southern part of the U.S. So we'll see how it all develops. But I wouldn't be surprised if you hear more and more rumors about Messi in particular.
It's exciting, isn't it? Two of the biggest stars on the planet, and we're talking about them as potentially going to the MLS.
That always happens when we're speaking with the UK, right? I had just questions about David for 10 years, and finally, I don't have to talk about him anymore, and now we're talking about Lionel Messi. Listen, I think that it tells a good story, and it's both at the top of our rosters and at the bottom of our roster. So Tyler Adams is the story, right? He grows up in the New York City area. He plays in one of our academies. He plays for the Red Bulls. He gets transferred abroad, and now he's arguably one of the key cogs in the machine of the U.S. national team, playing at leagues and doing well. That's the story. You know, Jesse Marsh, playing in college, playing in our league, coaching in our league, going over to Austria, then coming over to the Premier League. Those are good stories. So the Messi-Ronaldo chat is good, but it's the real story is what we call the meat and potatoes. You know, it's not the cherry on the cake, but it's really the things that make Major League Soccer, you know, the great league that we are today, and the best, I think, is yet to come. We've got a lot of work still to do.
Well, we're enjoying the meat and potatoes of Major League Soccer at the moment. We wish you all the best in the tournament. Not necessarily tonight, though, but the players seem fairly confident, so maybe England and the US could progress, but Wales might have a thing or two to say about that as well. But great to have Don here today, and great to see the MLS and American soccer growing so much at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Tim.